As I conclude the conference, I want to encourage those of you who haven't made plans about lunch to be aware that there is a concluding lunch about the question, what have we missed, with some of the smartest people in the room, like Natalie Tocci and Professor Graham Allison, who is still sitting here, but you will be going to the lunch right just in a couple of minutes. Now, the motto of this conference was "To the brink and back?" I was hoping when I opened this conference on Friday that in concluding the conference I would be able to say we can delete the question mark. In other words, we are back from the brink. I'm actually not sure we can say that. I've not been fully reassured by the discussions over the last 2.5 days. We have heard excellent analytical work. We have heard what's wrong. We have heard what the challenges are, what the nuclear risks and dangers are. We have also heard some wonderful visions, nice ideas about the future of Europe, infrastructure investment initiative responding to China's One Belt, One Road initiative, a new treaty for European domestic security, linking the EU to Britain in its future role. All great ideas. We also know what we don't like, what we want to avoid. We want to avoid an arms race. We want to avoid a further erosion of existing nuclear and conventional arms control treaties and arrangements. We want to prevent protectionism and populism and nationalism. We know we want to get away from the brink. My friends, the bad news is we haven't heard enough, at least as far as I'm concerned. What are the concrete steps that our leaders, those who have spoken here, and those who have not spoken here, what are the concrete steps that are actually going to be taken in order to implement the good visions, in order to prevent the bad perspectives that we have been discussing here? In other words, a lot more work is ahead. And this means not only for me and my team, but for many of those who work in foreign ministries or for prime ministers or who are decision makers themselves, let's go back to work on Monday morning and let's meet a year from now here to check what, if any, progress has been made. Let me remind you, the next Munich Security Conference is on February 15 to 17, 2019. Finally, I just want to say thank you to a few people and institutions. First and foremost, of course, to the German federal government and to the Bavarian government for their hospitality, for their service, for their support, to the police forces, to Ingrid Volkart, the owner of the hotel, for having made the entire facility available to us again this year. I also want to thank all the speakers and panelists and moderators and all the others who participated in arranging and in conducting the debates. I want to thank the Bayerische Rundfunk, which has served again as our host broadcaster, making broadcasting available to many, many other television and radio stations. Our supporters, our sponsors, our corporate supporters from the private sector and from foundations. And last not least, I want to thank Wolfgang Ischinger and the other members of my wonderful advisory council. And I want to thank my team, led by Benedikt Franke, a team which has, again, excelled and surpassed itself. You know, it's a very small team, and conducting and preparing a conference with more than 1,000 participants and 1,000, if not more, media representatives, it's not an easy thing to make it happen and to make it happen without major glitches. So thank you very much. And finally, enjoy your lunch, wherever you're going to have lunch, and come again next year. Thank you very much.